Well, hello out there, you rugby league enthusiasts, you round 15 in the record book. So let's unpack it. Starting with the league table, Leeds Rhinos setting their pace. All KR lurking menacingly. Wigan Warriors looking, well, quite frankly, terrifying. And all the other coaches in Super League thinking, should we start writing down our excuses now in June for the press conferences in September? Perhaps you should. Let's start at the HJ on Thursday as the Leeds Rhinos destroyed Warrington 34 points to 6 in what should have been a top of the table clash to savour, a proper heavyweight title contest, not a bit of it. Leeds Rhinos sucked all the energy out of Warrington and their fans on Thursday night. Warrington spent 80 minutes discovering new and exciting ways on how to miss tackles. 40 of those, if you were counting, their attacking structures absolutely diabolical from Warrington. And of course, as you do, you just keep throwing yourself under the bus, go and make a Sevo all night. Yeah, Sevo scoring a hat-trick, 25 and 15 for him now this season. And Warrington, like other defences in and around Super League, starting to treat him like a Victorian ghost. You can see he's coming. They know that they're terrified of him, but they'll just allow him to run straight through him anyway. Unbelievable stuff. Sevo in great form on the left edge. Scored some good tries in this one. If he was the executioner, well, then Ash Handler was the bloke kicking the door firmly off the hinges. Great form. Deserving of his England call-up was Ash Handler. Outstanding performance from the captain on that left edge, racked up the meters, sliced through Warrington with clean breaks and tackle buster plenty. Two great assists, the one for Brodie Croft. Warrington knew exactly what was coming where Handler was concerned, had no answer to it. Cry for help, get on your knees and pray, do whatever. But bottom line is, Handler was irresistible on the night. By the final whistle, I'm sure Warrington didn't want to go to bed because when they shut their eyes on Thursday night, I'm sure all they could see was Handler and they were waking up in cold sweats. Brad Arthur for me doing a brilliant job at the Leeds Rhinos. Last year it was work in progress. This year, absolute title contenders. Did I think they'd be top of the league after round 15? No. Did I think I'd be thinking about them going to Old Trafford? Probably not. Absolutely superb from Leeds at this moment in time. As for Sam Burgess, well, the unbeaten home record, the 10 in a row, that has now gone. And a lot of people thinking that he might be offered a new contract to the Warrington Wolves. Is he deserving of that? That's a big question, isn't it? I mean, has there been enough significant progress at the Warrington Wolves for you? I don't know. That's a thing that I'd love you to write in the comments below. Should Sam Burgess stay on? I'm sure many people outside of Warrington would want him to. Look, the bottom line is the silverware cabinet remains as untouched as a hotel Bible at the moment at Warrington. So, yeah, get your comments in the chat. Wakefield, let's go to them. Smashing Hull FC, 36 points to 10. Hull FC have reached that stage of the season now where it's like going on one of those courses that you have to go on at work, the mandatory ones, the training exercises. You're not going to enjoy the day. You're not going to learn anything from it because you're not invested. But somehow it seems to go on and on and on. Wakefield, in contrast, well, I have to say, they are proving time again that every time they're written off by pundits, it's the best motivational tool at Darryl Powell's disposal. They always seem to be biting back and really, really well. Wakefield's performance was built on the sort of wing play that should probably come with a warning label. Tom Johnstone, first half, gliding through FC's defence like he had access to a different set of traffic laws, while Seth Nicotimo ran with the kind of power that makes defenders suddenly remember they've left the oven on at home. Between them, they turned Hull's edge defence into a public art installation, carving out tries, meters and line breaks at will. By the end of the evening, Hull FC's right edge looked less like a defensive unit and more like a missing persons report. I wonder if Andy Last sent any of those in. Over in East Hull, KR beat Leigh 22-8. Leigh turned up against KR with all the attacking ambition of a bloke repeatedly trying to unlock a door with the wrong key and then acting surprised when it doesn't open. For most of the game, they seemed determined to play within a 10-metre square around the play the ball, relentlessly and persistently running back into traffic, as if at some point it would eventually work as a game plan. For me, the frustrating thing watching this game was that I believe that Hull KR did look vulnerable at times, especially when Burgess went off injured and they had to reshuffle the pack. They were there for the taking, but Leigh weren't brave enough with ball in hand and very, very disrespectful of the ball at times as well when they did have ball in hand. It was only, let's be fair, in those final moments that they played with a bit of imagination and that they started to resemble the great, exciting attacking side that we know that they have. And maybe if they'd have played a bit more like that for longer spells in the game, they could have come away with something. Leigh, for me, spent 70 minutes of this game trying to crack a safe with a spoon before remembering that they probably have brought the combination with them on the bus. Well, what about KR, though? Well, Tyrone May spent Friday night doing what Tyrone May has done all season, making rugby league look suspiciously easy. Every time KR needed somebody to take control, May was there pulling strings, finding space, and generally behaving like he had access to the script before anybody arrived at the stadium. May put KR into the areas of the field, dictating the tempo with the calm authority of a man trying to explain basic arithmetic to a room full of conspiracy theorists. At times, it felt less like a halfback performance and more like a guided tour, with Leigh defenders repeatedly being shown exactly where the danger was before arriving 5 seconds too late. If KR are rugby league's most efficient machine at the moment, then Tyrone May is the bloke quietly operating the controls while everyone else gets distracted by the flashing lights on the dashboard. Then there was the Bill Leyland try. It was equivalent of Leigh putting a man in a straitjacket and then forgetting to fasten the straps. Hull KR's hooker looked completely wrapped up, surrounded by defenders with nowhere to go and absolutely no right to score a try, yet somehow he did. And for me, that one sealed the win for KR. It was the try that shouldn't have happened. It gifted it. Absolute gift. A defensive lap so generous, it should have come with a thank you card from Leigh. Against a side as ruthless as KR, those moments don't just cost you a point in the match itself, they cost you the game overall. And the frightening thing for me is the rest of Super League, you need to turn on to the fact that Hull KR are back to winning ways and climbing the table with menace, despite everyone reminding them every 10 minutes about the Challenge Cup final where Wigan did turn them into decorative garden furniture, but that's a long time ago now. Speaking of Wigan beat York 72-20. 72. That's not a rugby score. That's what happens when my little lad leaves training mode on FIFA before he plays. Absolutely unbelievable. York were essentially cast as extras in a documentary about Wigan's attack. Every few minutes, another Warrior appeared through a gap and scored, while commentators desperately searched for new objectives to talk about. Matt Pete's side is now operating with terrifying confidence, and it's a team that knows exactly who they are, like a Bond villain, except with a better youth development system. The middle game on Saturday saw Catalans beat Bradford 34-24. Supporting Catalans, God, that must be exhausting, mustn't it? Every match feels like opening a mystery box, where the prize is either a playoff contender performance or a complete utter shambles. Catalans spent the first hour scoring tries so close to the post, you'd think they were being paid by the metre. Time and again, they punched holes through the middle of the Bradford Bulls defence, marching straight through the front door, rather than bothering with anything more complicated. It was ruthless, efficient, and at times alarmingly easy. The only question is whether a better side would have been quite so accommodating as the Bulls were. Against top Super League teams, running untouched between the posts is usually reserved for the mascot at half-time. For Bradford fans, the edge play was outstanding, with Ethan Wright and Connor Wynn repeatedly exposing Catalans out wide with clinical finishing. Every time Bradford shifted the ball, Catalans looked uncomfortable, which naturally raises this question. If it works so well, why spend so much of the match treating the touchline like it's protected by an electric fence? The final game on Saturday saw Castleford beat Toulouse 36-18, a result that landed with all the cultural impact of a leaflet through your letterbox. Not because it's not important, it's not worth a read, but because half the rugby league community forgot that it was happening and only remembered when they saw the final score online. That said, it was perhaps one of the better games this weekend. The Tigers were outstanding, especially in the first half, playing with the sort of confidence and attacking freedom that has been in short supply at times this season. Jason Gary celebrated his new contract in the best possible way, crossing twice and looking like a man determined to make sure the ink was dry before anyone changed their mind. Not that they would on this form. Him and Mapalange flying for Castleford. Every time Castleford shifted the ball, they looked dangerous. They asked questions. Toulouse struggled to answer any of those questions. But to their credit, Toulouse kept firing back and made the contest of the game, which only added to the entertainment. It wasn't a game packed with, title implications, but your only requirement really from a rugby league match is tries, line breaks, and two teams having a proper go at each other. And this had lots to enjoy about it. Really enjoyed the match. Ending round 15 was St Helens, beating Huddersfield 38-6. And quite frankly, there was no real surprise about that. I mean, it's like being surprised when it rains in Manchester. Everybody expected Saints to get the point. And it did ease perhaps a little bit of pressure. It reminded them that, that they are capable of bullying teams below them. As for Paul Rowley, though, there's a strange kind of admiration in the win. He knows full well he hasn't got a full set of Queens, Rooks and Bishops to work with at Saints right now to deliver his vision for their future. But he keeps trying to checkmate opponents with a king, 3 pawns and what looks suspiciously like a Monopoly token, which is to be commended. The Giants, however, well, they pointed to fitness as the issue. It's unbelievable, this. Fitness halfway through a season. We're not fit yet. That isn't a reason. It's a confession that pre-season might still be ongoing in some parallel universe where fixtures are optional. Speaking of which, Huddersfield don't need a fitness coach at this stage. Not at all. They need a TARDIS to get them to the end of the season as quickly as possible. So that's round 15. Leeds are flying, Wigan are frightening. Hull KR are being relentless and are on the way back. Saints are a bit confusing. Huddersfield need a hug. And Warrington, well, have just spent a week being replayed on highlight reels that they would rather delete and very, very quickly. That's been round 15. Turn out the lights. The round is over and we'll be back for round 16 next week. Bye for now, folks.